Today I want to share with you 5 things that I think really need to change in Rise of Kingdoms to make the game more fun and to make it a better game overall. And when players band together, things have changed for the good. For example, most recently, there was a change to go hide people's dead troop counts, and that change was reverted. In fact, at one point, they were going to make it so that area of effect damage from flags would not inflict dead troops, it would only inflict severely wounded troops. That change, too, was reverted before it went live. So let's go over the top 5 things that I think the developers should get a look at right now. Of course, the number one thing on this list is simply going to be fixing lag. I've got a huge pass opening coming later this week. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you don't miss my restart project battling in Zone 5. That's going to be happening on Wednesday, and I will be live streaming it. But every time there's a pass opening in one of these major KVKs, for whatever reason, maybe it's putting so many people into one place or having so many people with the game open at once, whatever the reason is, the game gets extremely laggy, and there's so many problems here. You'll have marches that become ghost marches. They're in one place on your screen, but in reality, they're somewhere else. So when you target them, your marches go in some random, crazy direction, chasing the actual location of the march, not where it's represented to you, which basically makes it impossible to open field fight with any amount of skill whatsoever. And this is really important. The most important fights are currently not playable with an appropriate level of skill, which is weird, but this is just reality. I'm just stating the facts, the thing you all can see anytime anybody, anywhere streams a pass opening. That's what's happening. And I would bet you, if you showed a new player to the game, here's what your endgame experience is, I don't know if they would keep playing the game, would they? And I'm saying this respectfully because it really needs to change, but let me give another example here. Let's say you were playing Texas Hold'em, okay? You're playing Texas Hold'em where you've got your cards and there are some public cards, okay? And you're building a hand with your cards and the public cards, and you're betting money, okay, based on what you see in the pool of public cards. You're betting money. In this game, you're betting resources, you're betting speed ups, okay? When you're in one of these big fights with lots of players all in the same place. And what if, instead of those being the cards that were actually on the table, the public cards, they just change them out. They change out the public cards and they're like, just kidding, here's all the new public cards. Technically, you're still playing Texas Hold'em altogether, and everybody else has the same problem you do. All the public cards just changed. Everybody gets wrecked in the same way, but you've also just removed the huge element of skill around everything that was happening in the gameplay. All the skill was now just completely removed, okay? So this idea that lag affects everyone as a justification for it being okay just blows my mind. It doesn't make any sense. And in this game, you are throwing down the resources and speed ups that you've committed. And just because it affects everyone equally doesn't mean it's a fun experience. I really think the developers need to do whatever it is they need to do to fix lag in this game. Whether it is making it so nobody can spectate, only the people playing the KVK can play it. If that's what it has to be, then that's what it has to be. If it's making it less kingdoms and KVKs, then that's what it has to be. But the game should be playable for those crucial, most important and fun and exciting and impactful and crazy moments. That's the peak of excitement and interest and hype. And the game lags. And I can't remember the last time I was in one of those big fights where there wasn't oppressive amounts of lag. That's my number one thing that you go and fix. And this is compounded by the number 2 thing, which is that at some point, the developers added a limit to the number of helps you can receive. Now, regardless of why this change was made, this is problematic because what happens is that players feel like they can't actually heal their hospital if you're a big active field fighter when you have only 100 or 200,000 troops in your hospital. I know that sounds crazy to some folks who are more casual, but to players that push the end game, you will hit the help cap every single day you're fighting in KVK. Every single day, you will hit the help cap in the end game as an aggressive player of this game. That means that any further healing you want to do beyond that, you're doing the full healing cost. You're not getting the helps that reduce the total amount of time by 30%. It's 1% per help plus some number of minutes. It's oppressive when you hit your help cap. So here's the 2 problems you've got. You want to be sort of waiting to clear your hospital, but now maybe you're running around with up to 7 marches, which means it's really risky. And then if you lag or disconnect, GG, your hospital overflows and you have like 100,000 dead troops or more. It's insane. So the problem is if you haven't yet fixed the lag, you gotta lift the help cap, because the help cap is preventing people from playing sort of defensively and healing out their hospital proactively, not because they don't see it, not because they don't want to do it, not because they've forgotten, but because they're afraid of hitting the help cap and then getting wrecked on speed ups. And obviously lifting the help cap, or at least like increasing the number of helps, just double the number of helps people can get. And they're probably not going to help cap if they're, still using speed ups and playing aggressively. But if you increase the help cap, then you're free to play, and low spenders who are limited on speed ups can play more, and that's more fun for everybody to be able to play the game more. Change number 3 is to very simply provide really detailed patch notes. And even if it's not here, even if you put it on like a website somewhere or in a Discord somewhere that people can go look at, for example, there were changes to crystal technology, and there's all this vague stuff in here describing kind of what's going to change, but none of the specifics. And once you actually enter into KVK, you can see there's some actually really profound changes to the technology and the prerequisites. For example, skillful operation now requires a whole chain of prerequisites. And then over here, you've got things like improve morale, requiring a whole chain of prerequisites. I mean, these were really major changes to the technology. And you mentioned like, hey, the technology's changing, but players want the details, all the details, every single detail about how this stuff is going to change so they can better prepare, they can better plan, and they can also spend accordingly if they are spending. So I think it's a huge win to offer more transparency into the patch notes and into what's happening. The 2 wins are as follows. First of all, if you negatively change something, but don't tell players that it's coming, then it seems like you're being not transparent in a best case. Okay? Whereas if you at least are forthcoming about it, I mean, at least you said what was going to happen and players could see it, and then actually you could get some feedback and people could react to it, and maybe the choice that, might be made could be changed. For example, as I explained at the beginning of the video, hiding the number of dead troops that people have. That was changed. And that was changed because players spoke up because they knew what was going to happen, or at least when they saw, they were like, hey, that doesn't make sense. But the other thing, by being sort of vague, you also don't get any credit for your big victories or things that actually benefit players. So it's a win-win if you offer transparency. Not only do you get feedback, which is really important, but also you become more trustworthy because players can see, like, hey, you said you were going to do this. We could see what you're doing. The 4th thing on the list has to do with resources, all the way in the upper right. And this is a tough one, man. Resource selling is happening in this game, and everybody knows it. Developers know it, and they try to stop it. But the problem is that there's still enough people doing it successfully that there's still a ton of resource selling going on. And I don't have any data to prove this, okay? But just get a look around in a big KVK and scout some of the highest power players, and like you'll see their resources, and they always have a lot of them. It's like, how did they get that many resources? And the weirdness here is, if you have a system around resources that's not fully policed, that means that the people who get away with, basically it's like cheating to get lots and lots of resources, have a huge advantage over all the people that aren't cheating. And the thing is that this is a problem in every city building war game I think I've possibly ever played, that people are buying resources from other players. So I don't know how you solve this problem. I'm not going to pretend that I do. But I think that if you can't solve it, then you need to build an economy that works around the problem entirely so that the resources are not a crucial point in the economy, where it is the downfall of the people who are honest that are the biggest victims. I mean, the reality is you either play the meta or you lose to the people that are playing the meta. And it seems like some number of people are getting away with resource selling and resource buying. And when that happens, like, it definitely harms the game. And the crazy part is, every other week or so, I get a message from somebody who's like, I got accused of resource selling and I didn't. I was just transferring resources to my friend. And I'm like, I don't know how to help you. I can't help you. I actually literally cannot be in between to support. I can't do anything. My support contact is just going to say, have them contact support. They're on their own. Like, I can't, you can send me a message. I can do literally nothing to help you if you got accused of resource selling. And I also can't vouch for people that randomly message me, because you might be a resource seller and I wouldn't know. But like, it's just a weird situation. And the only reason I now have a boon of resources on my main is Cortex literally gifted them to me, which was very generous of him. Rather than trying to sell them, he just gifted them to me and was like, here, you take them. And he did it on stream. It's all extremely public. Anyways, I'm not going to rant on this one. I'm just going to say I've suggested in the past that I think the economy in the game needs to be shifted toward things that cannot be farmed. For example, speed ups, rather than heavily emphasizing the resources which can be bought from other players. And that's a win-win. That means that if you actually want to have the stuff to continue to fight in the field, then you need to have the speed ups to go do so, rather than the bottleneck being the resources that you acquired from other players and offer them compensation, rather than using the in-game systems, which, by the way, further supports the development of the game, which we all want. The fifth thing that I think they should change, and is a part of the reason I have this on the screen, is that there's really no reason ever that I can think of that I want to target a friendly march. Literally never. Yes, I want to be able to join a rally. Yes, I want to be able to reinforce a city. Yes, I want to be able to reinforce a flag or a fort, right? But never do I want to target a friendly march. But when you're fighting in the open field, sometimes you target a friendly march and just stand there instead of actually swinging at an enemy. It doesn't make sense to me. I think this is a pretty straightforward change, and it will be nice if when you target something, it's only enemy troops or the ground and not like your own friendly marches. This all just makes big fights like way more complicated to have all these friendlies that I can hit. I wonder if like toggling their nameplates or like something would just like make it easier. I don't know. But things that make it easier to play skillfully in the open field, I think, are a huge win. Now, it wouldn't be a video about things to change in Rise of Kingdoms if I didn't mention Crystal Technologies. This is a bonus. This is number 6. And what I'll say is that this is the only city building war game I've played where there is end game purchasable stuff that is like a core part of the end game loop. What I'm trying to say is Crystal Technology is really important to end game competitive. This is the only game I've played where you buy something, it's temporary, that technology disappears, and then you're expected to buy it all over again the next time that you enter a KVK. I don't know what the answer is for Crystal Technology. I thought that the answer was making it easier to access more technology sooner for everyone. That is an answer, I think. But I think this matter is also so complex, and I've covered this in so many other videos. I'll just say the Crystal Technology system is definitely something I will be getting a look at in any list of things that would make Rise of Kingdoms a more fun game to play. So if there's anything in this list that I've shared with you that you think was a good idea, any one of these things, consider throwing a like on the video or just letting me know down below in the comments. Like, yeah, I would like to see such and such changed. Or, I mean, I would just be curious to see in the comments if there are other things that you think should be changed about Rise of Kingdoms. I would be very curious to see it. We've definitely seen things change for the better in this game. For example, I was talking for a very long time about how one troop debuffs were super toxic. And for those of you that don't know, you would literally send a march with one troop in it. You would attack either a rally or a garrison. And in that one turn that it attacked, it would apply a full strength debuff onto the enemy. And you could even do really, really, really stupid stuff like having someone hitting with Tamaris over and over and over again, stacking her skill damage taken, making it so that the rally was taking like a constant, 45% more skill damage, or a garrison would take 45% more skill damage. Like, it was totally busted. So they fixed one troop debuffs. They've fixed other things in the past. Hopefully some of the things in this list will get looked at. And if you did want to see me talk way more in depth about Crystal Technology and things I might change about it, I'll have a video that'll show up right over here in just a minute.